presentation to introduce this exciting new technology called CM2 technology, which means cell matrix squared, really, taking pulsed electromagnetic frequencies to the next level. And this is exciting because this is toroidal field energy. So you can think about this as cell health, recharge, repair, renew. So first we have to cover, well, PEMF, okay, what is that? Pulsed electromagnetic frequency. That's what it is. It's electromagnetic stimulation via pulses of energy within the cellular range. So pretty much the same energy frequency, really, I shouldn't say frequency, the same energy that the cells create when they're healthy and well. So this encourages the body to heal itself more effectively. And PEMF is also seen as the Earth's electromagnetic field. So scientists found that without this important agent, the body just doesn't repair itself properly. So when the astronauts went to the moon and when the Earth's magnetic field kind of drops, it really does affect our energy. And so when these astronauts went to the moon, they really didn't have that same electromagnetic energy that they were used to, and they noticed a huge difference in their cell health, and their vitality. So NASA did a lot of studies on this. So this is something that's really been researched, and there's a lot of hard science behind the importance of PEMF, pulsed electromagnetic field therapy. So keep going. Why is this not moving? There we go. So, and there are a lot of different studies. There's actually 2,000 is not, it's like 10,000. But anyway, we have it a low estimate of here. And so you can look up all of these different areas and you can find a lot of really good hard science behind PEMF. And so why is this important? Well, the body's bioelectric. Cells hold a charge, cells emit a charge, cells send a charge, and we need energy to survive. So everything is utilizing energy, and it's important. If the cell voltage or cell charge drops, then the viability and the health of the cell drops as well. And we're focusing on cellular health, so that's really important. So both electricity and blood flow are crucial to sustain optimal body function. And we're going to touch on a little bit of quantum physics, because we have to think about things in a very different way when we start looking at this technology, because this technology actually targets us at the atomic level, at that fundamental level. So fundamentally, we're not solid matter. We are highly condensed particles of energy that only appear solid because we emit a force. They emit a force. The reason I can actually feel you and touch you is not because you're basically solid. It's because your particles emit a force. And we're held together by different forces and fields of energy. So this is a really fundamental thing to understand. And it's exciting because then we're not targeting symptoms. We're getting to the root, the cause, that fundamental area of wellness. So it's also exciting because this CM2 technology was developed by doctors and a brilliant scientist as well. 8 years of research and development, 15 patents. We've got a reconstructive surgeon, a podiatrist who looks at a lot of issues with diabetics and their feet and what happens there, a spinal surgeon, and Dale as well, who's one of the development inventors with this. The doctors went to him and said, look, we really have some brilliant stuff going on with some technology that we want to really develop and take to a wider audience. So their mission was basically to alleviate the aches and pains of daily life and elevate general wellness in the mass public. So what they were doing was they were looking at PEMF, and they were looking at what happens basically, and what motivated them to even do this is they typically see when they put a person in a cast, or they have a person that is not really mobile, they see massive degeneration. And you can see here the difference between this leg and this muscle and this one. So there's major wasting happened. lot of waste here, the wasting of the muscle. But the other thing that the doctor said is when they put these people into these casts, they also look at the x-rays, and what you can see is a lot of cloudiness, which shows that there's a lot of bone loss as well, even as it's healing, and you are looking to regenerate and regrow the bone, but there's still wasting even there after it heals. So the initial bone wastes very similar to the muscle. And so what they were using to try to work with the technology to actually aid these patients with not so much wasting and to help the bone heal a bit faster was your typical PEMF, your typical pulsed electromagnetic frequency. And so what's interesting is as they were doing this, what they found was that the areas that were actually in this area, in the toroidal field area, so this is not the focal point. The focal point's this very focused energy here. But what they were finding is that even though it did help the bone, it helped to regenerate things, the cells in this area were incredibly healthy, more so than what they would expect. So they realized that there's a lot of wasted energy going on here, and it takes a lot of energy to project this. When they saw the difference and the benefits of this pulsed toroidal field, instead of all of this, they went, wow, this is what we need to do. So they really fine-tuned PEMF and turned it into toroidal. And they created this web. And what they found was massively beneficial. So you can see here, this was a person that had the break and was isolated, just like over here in a cast, but look at the difference. You can see here that they look almost identical. Same here. So how beautiful is that? What they found was the toroidal fields keep cells active. It energetically mimics the actual exercise. So what it's sending is it's sending this incredible information through the toroidal fields that are actually telling the cells that they're engaged in work, they're engaged in activity, and therefore the cells at the cellular level started generating what you would typically see with loaded exercise and work. So how cool is that? That's pretty impressive. And they hadn't seen anything like this before. So that's what we've got here. That's how this was born. What happened basically was the doctor said, my God, this is so incredible. This is so amazing. We've got to get this to mainstream, and we have to make it affordable for people because we know we can help them. And that was when the band and the web were born. So you can think of this CM2 like exercise for the cells. It gives them energy and information, and it really gets the cells thinking that they're fit, they're active, they're moving, they're healthy. So the other exciting thing about this is with these 9 toroidal fields, we see this sort of energy. And this is pretty cool because it also creates some sacred geometry. So you could think of this as like the flower of life. And if you know anything about that really cool sacred geometry, that you understand that that's the fundamental energy that creates things through the universe with these toroidal fields. So that's really, really exciting. On a physiological level, we see that when you lay people on this, when it's sitting on the body, when you put it on a mat, when you put it under the mattress, whatever you want to do, it really completely submerses the person in this field. There's no shadows. It's a targeted, treated area. The toroidal waves require way less power. They are not, I think I said there's not hot spots, cold spots. It's much safer. And again, which we talked about in the beginning, it really affects us very concentrated at the atomic level, at those subatomic particles. So it just gets more and more and more exciting when you start to understand what this is actually doing. So we can take this even further because we're talking about the physiological, but what's really exciting is if you understand the heart, so the heart is the most powerful source of electromagnetic energy in the body, and it's more than 100 times greater in strength than the field generated by the brain. This is the biggest electromagnetic energy generated by the body. The heart's magnetic field is the strongest rhythmic field produced by the body. Again, I know you're going to start to get really excited about this, because when you start to understand the implications, if you've ever looked at heart math and the Heart Math Institute, there's some big stuff there. So this is really, really profound. We're talking about not just energy, but also physiological responses here. The heart generates a pressure wave that travels rapidly through the arteries, and the research that the Heart Math Institute did suggests that the heart's field is an important carrier of information. So now we can start to get really excited, because we've got these toroidal fields that we know we see in nature everywhere. They're the most effective, efficient delivery system of energy that found in the universe, really. And this is the same field that the heart generates. This is the same field that the body, the auric field, generates. This is the same field that comes through our subatomic particles. So what happens? What happens when all of that starts to communicate? Well, look out. First, on the physiological level, energy and exercise for the cells, we recharge, repair, we renew, but the fields create harmonic resonance. They all start to sing together. They all start to vibrate together. So you're talking about the fields of the planet, the fields of the heart, the energetic centers and energy centers of the body, this pulsing, beautiful, dynamic web sending its toroidal fields. You've got this massive vortex of energy being created, and the organization of force that transcends other forces is this toroidal energy and the heart coherence energy. So this energy helps maintain coherent organization and balance in the natural world. How cool is this? Look, how cool is this? This is so cool. This is all the stuff we're getting in this band. So it's more than just the physiological, because of the dynamic that this sets up at the heart level, and with the coherence, with the harmonic resonance. When you have everything singing and vibrating together, you start to see magical things happen. So now we're going to go back into the web. The web uses electricity to create a magnetic field that tricks the cells into thinking that they're exercising, which is really cool. We know that because we can add muscle, we can add mass, we can add bone, we can add a lot of information. It essentially makes their metabolic rate high, and they work more efficiently. When in this state, muscle can recover faster. We see increased blood flow, more O2 entering the cells. More O2 creates an oxygen-rich environment for cell regeneration. Now the nutrients are pumping through the body. They're going through the blood. They're going everywhere. They're reaching through the whole circulatory system. Then we can address inflammation. And that starts to lower. Tissues start to recover and repair themselves much more effectively. And this allows the body to heal itself, because we've got this harmonic resonance happening now. So we see the bone growth and repair. We see muscle growth and repair. We see tendon, ligament repair, cartilage. They've even seen cartilage start to regenerate in between the bones that was completely just out of the picture. When you've got this kind of energy and this harmonic resonance, magical things can happen in the body. So this is so cool when you're talking about health at the cellular level, because that's at the subatomic level. When you're sitting in those frequencies and those fields of energy and that magnetic pulse of the heart and the earth and all your cells all singing in harmony together, then you've got something pretty exciting taking place. And again, when you're using this web, you're talking about complete submersion. It's not expensive. It's not important to run big power, because you can even power this with a battery. They looked at how can I deliver this so it's so easy and so efficient and so effective and that's the toroidal field energy. So again, that is so cool. Now, this is kind of some really big science, and I'm going to cover it just because there are some people that want to know this, but simply think about, okay, so when we're talking about the band, because we've just been talking about the web, but we're going to go back into the band. So this is really delivering O2, helping those cells, those blood cells, take up a lot more oxygen. We're going to increase energy, recovery, circulation, overall wellness. It really helps support the immune system. And this, because of metabolism and the metabolic rates, we're also going to support weight loss. So the CM2 pulse band is a wrist-worn device that emits a unique toroidal magnetic pulsed field. Again, PEMF, but toroidal. Never been done before. This is the first time. It's been shown via blood test to induce the zeta potential of erythrocytes. So what does that mean? It means that the blood cells are going to get this delivery system, this energy delivery system that actually helps them correct the charge. So when they're not charged properly, they're going to stick together. They're going to get really clumpy, and it's not good for us. They're all aggregated. But when we get to this zeta point moment, which is this, what the doctors and what the scientists have studied, they see everything switch so that these cells go back into the position where they're supposed to be. So the band is designed to be worn between 8 and 12 hours per 24-hour cycle. It emits a micro pulse for 7 minutes and then rests for 23. So the science of the CM2 band follows the principle of Faraday's law of induction and Lenz's law. So this predicts how a magnetic field will interact and produce a current in the receiving conductor. And in this place, the receiving conductor is our red blood cell. So this is just good science, and it works. So it's the phenomenon called electromagnetic induction, and it's dynamic. It's going through the body, it's hitting those red blood cells, and it's reminding them what they're meant to do, because they've somehow been confused, screwed up, stressed, whatever, poison, who knows what's happened. We won't even go into that. But what we see is that this is being corrected. So it's the fundamental operating principle of all transformers and equally applied as designed for influencing the erythrocyte and the membrane charge. So that's an important thing that we'll get to, because the cell membrane is really the brain of the cell. It's not the nucleus. And we've learned this over time, that it's a very important area that we want to target. But we'll come back to that. So as we use the band now, because we told you what happens with the web, so the band is more focused on corrects the cell charge so that the cells are not attracted to each other and that free flow is restored. So what do you get from that? You get energy, vitality, athletic performance, recovery, mental focus, oxygen uptake, metabolism, and immune support. I don't see a downside to this. Do you guys? There's no downside. It's non-invasive. It's so cost efficient, so cost effective, and it's just going to increase everything else that you're doing, everything. So when you think about these cells, it's not just the red blood cells, it's also white. So we're talking about our immune system, immune responses in the body. Autoimmune is one of the biggest issues right now. So the fact that we can target sending aid to an area of our body that's needing support, that's needing help, that has to remember what it's meant to be doing, this is pretty exciting. So the pulse encourages as well the release of nitric oxide. So this nitric oxide helps the arteries open up. And then we have enriched fluids flowing through. We've got the body bathed in oxygen dense and nutrient dense fluids. So again, when you're sending these fluids through the body with all of these nutrients, all of the oxygen, think about the lymph, think about the water in the body, think about all the cell membranes, think about the fluid that has to cross through. Everything's carrying energy, nutrients, oxygens, information. It's pretty powerful. So, of course, we're going to create happy, healthy cells. We want to target our cells at our health rather, at the cellular level. And so this is important. And when you think about the body and you're trying to target body systems, well, you don't want to do that, because if we're working at that subatomic level, then we're targeting the atoms, we're targeting the molecules, then we're going into the cell with the organelles, and that's the whole system that we want to get healthy, functioning right, and supporting, and that will then echo and start to ricochet out to the rest of the body. So that's where we want to start. And when we talk about the cell, of course, every single cell, this is the lipid bilayer. So this is surrounding every single cell in the body. And this you need to think about in three ways. This is your protection, this is your transportation area, and this is your communication area. So these frequencies, this information coming from our CM2 technology actually triggers access through these receptors and protein channels. So this is very important. This is your signaling area. This is your trafficking highway. This is where we really start to see magic happen at the cellular level. And a lot of us are so unwell and toxic. And there's evidence to support now that there's a lot of heavy metals being jammed up in certain areas. And so what can happen through this technology is through some of this vibratory energy, this frequency messenger energy, some of these things are dislodged, and the body can actually start to remove some of the toxins, pathogens, heavy metals, so that the signaling starts to work more effectively. Because we know that a viable cell, we have to first have cell charge. And if we can't get any information into the cell, if we can't get nutrients into the cell, and we can't get waste out of the cell, we've got a cell that's doomed. It's going to die. So that's what takes us to this area, which we know you've got to get past that cell membrane, because the nutrients have to get in and the waste has to get out. You have to be able to, eliminate waste and bring in nutrition. That's not going to happen in an unhealthy cell. But in a healthy cell, obviously, we see the energy is right, better health and wellness, faster injury recovery, soft tissue repair and growth, improved bone health and density, improved flexibility, better blood circulation, improved oxygen levels, and always the pain drops. We get that pain reduction. So do we have that in healthy cells? Yes. Do we have that in unhealthy cells? No, and they're not viable. But this energy and information can make those cells remember what they're meant to be doing and bring that viability back. So it's all about the cell health, and it's a holistic approach. So what do we want to do? We want to charge the cells. We want to create cell communication at that cell membrane. We want to feed and nourish the cells. We want to support proper detox in the cells. Then we want to come behind, because if the cells are releasing all this gunk, all this crap and garbage, we want to mop it up and get it out of there. We don't want it reabsorbed in the body, right? So there are things we can do about that as well, because this is a massive detox for us. Provide the body with high quality nutrient dense foods, vitamins and minerals, and take products that are known antioxidants. And we have to look at this, because as we increase more oxygen, oxygen is great. We want that O2 in the body, but there's byproducts from our respiration, and that's called reactive oxygen species. And about 2 to 3% of a lot of the oxygen that we process comes out as ROS, reactive oxygen species. And those are nasty little free radicals that damage cells. So we want to use antioxidants to balance those and to make that not such a danger to all of our healthy cells. So again, that's really important. So the other thing is, obviously, environmental factors like epigenetics. We know that our environment can cause us huge problems. And so with all the stressors in life, with all the things that can go wrong, we need something that we know we can keep counting on. So we have to look at these things because this lowers cell charge. This causes us to not be able to regenerate like we did when we were younger. And so things like stress, poor nutrition, insomnia, lack of exercise, dehydration is a huge one, very big. So we want to make sure that we're looking at this as a holistic approach. And we're so lucky because we're involved in a company that gives us gold standard nutrients that are so clean, that are so beautiful, that are so ethical, and the efficacy behind everything. So when you're utilizing a lot of these beautiful nutrients, if your cell's not charged, if your cell's not viable, you're just going to have very expensive urine. So nobody wants very expensive urine, right? You want all that expensive stuff going into the body. So that's the exciting thing about these devices. With CM2 technology, we remind the cells what to do again. We increase that communication at the cell level, at the cell membrane. We work with, and we have the ability to pull in the nutrients and to offload the toxins out of the cells, and by proxy out of the body. So charge and energize your own cells with the band and the web. CM2 is state-of-the-art, revolutionary technology, and we are so excited to be able to teach you about this and bring it to you. So why use it? Well, it optimizes your wellness. It supports immune cells and organs. It's non-invasive. It amplifies athletic performance and enhances the body's natural recovery process, that innate immune system, the ability to repair and regenerate. It assists with muscle fatigue and discomfort after exercise. It supports general relaxation. It'll help you sleep better. It'll help you relax better. It'll help you experience more energy naturally, and all of your nutrients, all of your supplements are going to work better. If you've hit a plateau with certain things, this is your answer. It will help us. So we can radically change the landscape of our health when we introduce this exciting new technology into what we're already doing. So I hope you get how exciting this is. Do you have any questions? And how was that?
I'm so excited. That is phenomenal. Amazing.
Yeah. Brilliant, Elise. You can probably stop recording now. Have you stopped recording?
Okay, I will stop this and
How good was that?
Yeah.
stop recording.